Welcome to Senior Relationship After 60. If you're over 60 and you've started believing that passion and physical closeness are things you're supposed to quietly let go of, you're not alone. Millions of seniors have been told, directly or indirectly, that desire fades with age, that intimacy becomes inconvenient, even inappropriate. But here's what's shaking up the conversation in 2025. New research from major health institutions is revealing that seniors who maintain romantic and physical connection actually live longer, healthier, and happier lives. The problem? Most people your age have been silenced by shame, outdated myths, or the assumption that nobody wants to talk about this. What if everything you've been led to believe about sex and romance after 60 was based on stigma, not science? What if your body and your heart are still capable of so much more than society wants you to think? In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through something most people never hear about, the real story behind intimacy after 60. First, I'll reveal 3 surprising medical truths about your body's capacity for pleasure and connection that doctors are finally admitting openly. These aren't vague theories. They're backed by current studies that will change how you see yourself. Then, I'll share 2 powerful emotional shifts that can reignite the spark in long-term relationships or help you feel confident if you're dating again after loss or divorce. These aren't complicated. They're simple reframes that unlock what may have felt closed off for years. And finally, I'll give you 1 practical action you can take this week. Something private, gentle, and empowering that supports both your physical well-being and your sense of desirability. Whether you're in a relationship, single, or somewhere in between, this isn't about performing or proving anything. It's about reclaiming a part of life that belongs to you, no matter your age. Stay with me because what comes next might just set you free. Let's talk about what nobody says out loud. You wake up next to someone you've loved for decades, or maybe you're lying alone in a bed that once held 2, and there's this quiet ache. Not just physical but emotional. You remember when touch came easily, when a glance across the room meant something electric. But now there's hesitation. Maybe your body doesn't respond the way it used to. Maybe medications have dulled sensation, or menopause and testosterone changes have made intimacy feel like a chore instead of a joy. And here's the part that hurts most. You don't talk about it. Not with your partner, not with your doctor, and certainly not with your adult children who already treat you like you're fragile. Society has this unspoken rule that once you hit a certain age, you're supposed to gracefully exit the conversation about desire. You see it in movies, in jokes, in the way nursing homes are designed, as if romance and sexuality just evaporate after 60. But here's what's shifting in 2025. Major media outlets and health organizations are finally breaking the silence. There are documentary features, viral opinion pieces, even dating apps specifically for seniors that are challenging the narrative. Experts are now saying that sexual health is a vital sign, just like blood pressure or cholesterol, and ignoring it can lead to depression, isolation, and declining physical health. The loneliness you feel isn't just emotional. It's a health crisis that's been hidden in plain sight for too long. Let me tell you about Diane, a 67-year-old widow from Oregon. After losing her husband of 40 years, she believed that chapter of her life had closed permanently. For 3 years, she poured herself into grandchildren, gardening, and volunteer work. All beautiful things, but something felt hollow. Then, at a community book club, she met Richard, a 71-year-old retired engineer who made her laugh in a way she'd forgotten was possible. They started meeting for coffee, then dinners, then long walks where conversation flowed effortlessly. But when things began moving toward something more intimate, Diane froze. She confided in a close friend that she felt embarrassed about her aging body, terrified that she wouldn't remember how to be close to someone new, and guilty, as if wanting companionship somehow betrayed her late husband's memory. Richard had his own fears too. Years of blood pressure medication had affected his confidence, and he worried he couldn't be the partner someone deserved. They almost walked away from each other entirely. But then Diane's doctor said something during a routine checkup that stopped her in her tracks. Something about how the body and heart are designed to connect at any age, and that intimacy isn't about performance. It's about presence. That single conversation opened a door she thought had been permanently locked. So what did Diane and Richard do next? What they discovered didn't just bring them closer. It completely rewrote their understanding of what love and touch could mean in their golden years. Now let's get into what actually works. The truths that can transform how you experience intimacy after 60. These aren't theories or wishful thinking. These are actionable insights grounded in current medical understanding and real human experience. Step 1. A truth about physical intimacy and health after 60 that doctors are now confirming. Here's something your doctor might not have told you yet, but medical journals are now publishing openly. Regular intimate activity, whether with a partner or through self-exploration, has measurable health benefits for seniors. We're talking about improved cardiovascular function, better sleep quality, reduced chronic pain, enhanced immune response, and even cognitive protection. A landmark study from multiple universities tracking thousands of adults over 65 found that those who maintained some form of sexual activity showed significantly lower rates of depression and reported higher overall life satisfaction than those who didn't. But here's the critical part most people miss. Intimacy after 60 doesn't have to look like it did at 30. Your body has changed, yes, but it hasn't stopped being capable of pleasure and connection. For women, post-menopausal changes can actually eliminate pregnancy concerns and sometimes increase comfort once initial adjustments are made. For men, while erectile changes are common, doctors now emphasize that satisfaction and closeness don't require the same rigidity or duration that younger men obsess over. In fact, many couples report that slowing down and focusing on full-body touch, extended foreplay, and emotional presence creates deeper satisfaction than the rushed encounters of their younger years. The medical community is finally acknowledging that sexual health is integral to healthy aging, not a luxury or something inappropriate, but a legitimate component of wellness that deserves attention and support. If you've been avoiding conversations with your healthcare provider about changes in desire or function, this is your permission to speak up. There are solutions. From hormone therapies to medications, from pelvic floor exercises to lubricants specifically designed for mature bodies. Have you talked to your doctor about this aspect of your health? If not, what's been holding you back? Step 2. An emotional/communication strategy couples can use to reignite connection. Even the strongest relationships can drift into patterns where intimacy becomes routine or disappears entirely. After decades together, many couples stop talking about what they want or need because they assume their partner already knows, or worse, they're afraid of sounding demanding or ungrateful. Here's a communication approach that's been transformative for countless senior couples. Create a weekly connection ritual that has nothing to do with performance pressure. Pick a consistent time, maybe Sunday morning with coffee or Wednesday evening after dinner, and spend 20 minutes doing something simple. Sit facing each other, hold hands, and take turns sharing 3 things. First, one thing you appreciated about your partner that week. Second, one memory from your years together that made you feel loved. Third, one small thing that would make you feel more connected in the coming week. It could be a longer hug before bed, a compliment about your appearance, a specific kind of touch, or even just uninterrupted conversation. The power here isn't in grand gestures. It's in consistent, vulnerable sharing that reminds you both why you chose each other in the first place. For those who are single or dating again later in life, this same principle applies, but directed inward first. Spend time each week acknowledging what you appreciate about yourself, recalling moments when you felt attractive or desired, and identifying one small action that would make you feel more open to connection. This might be updating your wardrobe, reaching out to social groups, or simply practicing positive self-talk when you look in the mirror. Intimacy starts with how you relate to yourself before it ever involves another person. If you're in a long-term relationship, when was the last time you told your partner something specific you appreciate about them? Not just, "I love you," but something detailed and personal? Step 3. a practical lifestyle adjustment or simple habit that supports romantic vitality. Let's talk about something concrete you can implement this week that directly supports your capacity for intimacy. Prioritize circulation and flexibility through gentle daily movement. I know that sounds simple, almost too simple, but here's why it matters tremendously. Blood flow is essential for arousal and pleasure in both men and women, and as we age, circulation naturally decreases, especially if we're sedentary. Just 20 minutes of walking daily, or even better, 15 minutes of stretching or yoga specifically targeting the hips, pelvis, and lower back, can dramatically improve sensation and comfort during intimate moments. There are senior-specific yoga sequences designed to open the hip flexors, strengthen the pelvic floor, and increase range of motion, all of which translate directly to physical ease during closeness. Beyond movement, hydration plays a massive role that most people overlook. Dehydration affects everything from natural lubrication to energy levels to skin sensitivity. Aim for consistent water intake throughout the day, not just when you're thirsty. And here's another practical piece. Timing matters more than you might think. Many seniors feel most energetic and comfortable in the morning or early afternoon rather than late evening when fatigue sets in. If intimacy has been happening or not happening, only at bedtime out of habit, experiment with different times of day when you naturally have more energy and fewer aches. Diane and Richard, from our earlier story, discovered that Saturday morning became their special time together. Relaxed, unhurried, with natural light and no pressure. They'd prepare a nice breakfast afterward and talk for hours, turning intimacy into an event they both looked forward to rather than something squeezed into the margins of exhaustion. Small shifts in routine can remove invisible barriers you didn't even realize were there. What time of day do you feel most energized and comfortable in your body? Have you ever considered that timing might be affecting your intimate life? Step 4. A mindset shift about desire, attraction, and self-worth in later years. This might be the most important piece of all, and it requires undoing decades of cultural programming. We've been fed a narrative, through advertising, entertainment, and casual conversation, that attractiveness and desirability peak in youth and decline steadily afterward. This is not just false. It's destructive. Attraction in later life operates on entirely different dynamics than it does in your 20s or 30s. When you're older, attraction is less about flawless skin or perfect bodies and far more about presence, confidence, kindness, humor, and the depth that comes from having lived a full life. Think about it. The qualities that make someone magnetic at 65 aren't the same ones that turned heads at 25. It's the way someone listens fully, the wisdom in their perspective, the comfort they have in their own skin, the stories etched into their laugh lines. If you've been avoiding mirrors, hiding your body, or declining opportunities for connection because you think you're no longer attractive enough, you're measuring yourself against the wrong standard. Your body tells a story of children raised, challenges overcome, years lived with purpose. That's not something to apologize for. That's something to honor. And here's the truth about desire. It doesn't disappear with age unless you starve it. Desire is like a muscle. It atrophies without use, but it can also be gently strengthened through attention and practice. This doesn't mean forcing yourself into situations that feel wrong, but it does mean staying curious about pleasure, staying open to beauty, staying willing to be seen. For many seniors, especially women, there's an internalized belief that wanting physical touch or romantic attention is somehow selfish or undignified at this stage of life. Let me say this clearly. Wanting to be held, desired, and loved is not immature or inappropriate. It's deeply human, and it remains human until your very last breath. If you're single, this might mean allowing yourself to be open to new connections without the weight of comparison to your younger self. If you're partnered, it might mean shedding the invisibility you've wrapped around yourself and letting your partner see you fully again. You are not past your prime. You are in a different season, one that offers its own unique forms of beauty and connection. Do you believe you're still desirable? If not, what would it take for you to start seeing yourself through kinder eyes? These 4 steps aren't quick fixes, but they're foundations. Implement even one of them consistently, and you'll start noticing shifts, Not just in your intimate life, but in how you carry yourself, how you relate to others, and how much permission you give yourself to experience joy. Which of these 4 resonates most with where you are right now? So what happened with Diane and Richard? After that conversation with her doctor, Diane decided to be brave. She invited Richard over for dinner and with trembling hands, told him everything. Her fears, her insecurities, her guilt. And Richard did the same. They sat on her porch under string lights and laughed and cried and realized they'd both been carrying the same weight of shame and worry. They made a pact that night. No expectations, no performance pressure, just honest exploration of what felt good and right for them. 6 months later, Diane told her book club something remarkable. Not the intimate details, but the essence. She said she felt like herself again. Not the younger version, but a fuller version. She wasn't trying to recapture her 30s. She was discovering what her 60s could hold. Richard started walking every morning, not obsessively, but joyfully. They took dance lessons. They held hands in public without self-consciousness. The transformation wasn't about perfection. It was about permission. Permission to want, to be wanted, to remain tender and alive. Because here's the universal truth we forget. The need for human touch, for affection, for feeling seen and cherished, that doesn't retire when you do. Doesn't fade just because your hair does. Love and intimacy aren't rewards for youth. They're birthrights for the living. Here's what I want you to remember. Aging doesn't diminish your right to passion, tenderness, or romance. It deepens your capacity for it. You've earned every line on your face and every lesson in your heart. Don't let anyone, including yourself, convince you that wanting connection makes you foolish or that your years have made you invisible. You are still here, still worthy, still capable of profound intimacy. This channel exists to remind you that life after 60 isn't about winding down. It's about showing up fully for the time you have left. If this message stirred something in you, hit that like button right now. And please share this with someone who needs permission to feel alive again. A friend, a partner, someone sitting alone thinking their story is over. It's not. Next time we're diving into something equally important. How to navigate dating apps and new relationships after loss or divorce. You won't want to miss it. Until then, keep living boldly, keep loving bravely, and remember, your heart doesn't have an expiration date.